Hello, beautiful light beams. Welcome back to the Brittany Renee experience. I am so excited today to share our guest. We have Carrie Briggs on with us. This beautiful being came across my social media a few times, and I was just magnetized to her energy. And I reached out and was like, we have to talk. We have to connect. You have so much magic that needs to come to the Brittany Renee experience. So, Carrie, I'd love for you to share with us more about you, what you do. And I'm so excited for the cosmic conversation that's going to happen today.
Thank you so much. I am so excited to be here. So my name is Carrie Briggs. I'm a certified Reiki master teacher with 5 Element Dragon Fire Reiki, and I'm a spiritual mentor for high-level entrepreneurs or women. And it's so funny because you were coming across my profile and I'm like, that girl has something. And then I brought you up to my OBM, who's also my best friend. And she's like, oh yeah, I worked with her a long time ago. And I'm like, what? And she's like, my worlds are colliding because she's like, she works with me now and I've guided her. But I guess you were one of the first people to wake her up. So it's like, it's a really, really cool thing. And then you reached out and I'm like,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh, my heart. I didn't even know. See, I didn't even know this piece yet, y'all. This is
Yes.
like, we're live
Surprise.
sharing.
It's so cool. So yeah, I'm very excited to be here and to see where this conversation goes. I love what you're doing. Fun fact. So, I'm a trigger as well, and I'm an activator. So one of your videos actually triggered the ever living shit out of me. And I'm like, And then it was like right after that, you asked to the podcast. And I'm like, and that's why we're going to look at this. And like, I worked through it, but it was like, it's really cool. And I'm like, what is it about her? And there was another one of your videos that you posted. And I went back and I had made one a couple of years ago that was like almost exactly word for word. And I'm like, girl, we're going to talk about magic today. So I'm just so excited to be here and just chat with you. I love what you're doing.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate all that witness and all that love. You know, it's so fun. I say this sometimes like laughing and crying, right? To be an
Uh-huh.
illuminator.
Mm-hmm.
And in my human design, I'm a 1-3 projector. And
Mm-hmm.
so I also like there's just so much around me just illuminating the shadow. And I
Mm-hmm.
really like part of my mission and my magic has had to be to learn it's okay to trigger the fuck out of people. Like it's okay. Like it's what you're going
Exactly.
to do. You might as well just, and my closest friends, we have these conversations of like, wow, that really triggered me, right? Or like, I'm really in my stuff, like navigating, but it's also this beautiful gift, right? Like when I get triggered, I am just like, mm, thank you. Thank you for
What's
that.
that?
What's in
Exactly.
there?
Uh-huh. And that's exactly it. And I love that you're human design projector. I'm a 3-5 generator, sacral generator. So like everything is
Oh,
in my sacral space. But yeah, I grew up always triggering people, always triggering people. And I thought I was the problem. And then the more that I've stepped into my power, I'm like, oh, this is why, because I wake people up and they don't like it. It's really fun.
oh
I
yeah.
actually posted on Instagram a couple days ago and I pissed a lot of people off. And I'm like, I just spoke so many people. But it is like it was hard in the beginning because you're like, everybody's mad at me. Everybody's like calling me names and like really, really shaming me. But I've welcomed it and I get excited now because I'm like, well, if
Yeah.
I'm one voice on their path of healing, then that's all that matters.
Well, and I like to say too, like I think for me, what I've realized, because this is a part of, my mission is I activate authenticity and I
Mhm. Exactly.
also illuminate inauthentic energy. And so it's
Exactly.
really interesting to see how that plays part. And and in this awakening that we're in, right? Like let's just dive into like
Oh
collectively
yeah.
if anyone who's listening is starting to resonate and they're like, oh, this is me, right? Like my friends are like, yeah, you're cool. And then like I literally just had a voice note from a client slash friend of mine who's like, I just realized that there's been a whole family chat behind my back with all of the women talking shit about her, basically. And I'm like, that's rough, right? Like
Hmm.
just came through the holidays. And it's anyone who's like this has happened to me or this is resonant, like I want you to know you're not alone and you are here to be like us. You're here to wake people up. You're here to activate. And like that is magical, y'all. Like when you actually harness the fact that you're an activator for people, I'm getting chills. Like
I know.
there are literally there's a lot of us. I'm not going to say we're rare. There's a lot of us, but it's such a gift. And to actually hold that code and know how sacred that is that you chose to come to planet Earth at this time to help wake people up. Like
Hmm.
yes, like, yes, yes, yes. Like, my heart just has so much energy around this topic, because so many people think they're depressed. So many people think they're crazy. So many people think that like there's something wrong with them. And I'm like, actually, you're just magical as fuck. And like, people don't know how to handle it. People get triggered by your truth. They get triggered also by the purity of the soul that's like, I'm not perfect, right? Like,
Exactly.
not perfect. And I'm still doing the best I can. I'm still showing up. I'm still being super authentic. And that triggers people. I want to invite anyone listening, like, please find support. And like, I would love, Carrie, for you to like riff on this too. But like, for me, finding mentors, finding a tribe, finding people is like, it's a necessity. Like, it has to happen. And if you do not have that and you think like, I'm a lone wolf, I can do this on my own. First of all, baby, that's your ego. Second of all, you're not going to get there. Like, you will not get there by yourself. You can get far, but you cannot, if you don't have triggers and you don't have reflections and you don't have someone being like, hey, I'm going to call you up and make you accountable for like some things that aren't, like, your ego's telling you this, but the reality is this, you will not expand where you're supposed to. So like, find your tribe. Like, this is why I get like my Haven membership. And Carrie, I'd love to know like how you work with people. Like, all of us who are on the front lines doing this right now have created the spaces for you to come in and be seen and know and curate your gifts. I'm done. I want to hear more.
I'm like over here bobbleheading, like all of that. So much yes on all of them. Let's see if we can hit all the points. So like, backstory, I was raised by a narcissistic mother, so I had a lot of like trauma around being seen, being my authentic self. She made me feel small, and she still made me feel small, and it wasn't until a couple of years ago. So it's funny that you're talking about your friend that had the voice, the text behind their back. That's my entire family. They've always talked shit about me. And it took a couple of years and done a lot of healing around my mother wound, around the witch wound, around the sisterhood wound, to break free of that toxic energy. But I spent my entire life feeling like I was crazy, like there was something wrong with me. And I am a channel. So I am a psych. I don't like to use the word psychic, but I'm a channel for a lot of energies. So when I was very little, I channeled a lot of messages. And my mother told me I was crazy and that I was stupid and that was wrong and wasn't true. Come to find out years later, her aunt, who she was extremely close to, was a psychic medium. She was pissed that I got the gift and she didn't. So this I just found out. So again, I spent my entire life thinking I was crazy. There was something wrong with me. Why I was so drawn to dragons and energies and angels and stars and moons and astrology and all of these things. And then it was like beaten out of me, essentially. So when I became pregnant with my daughter. So I became pregnant with my daughter she just turned 6. So like almost 7 years ago, something snapped in me. I had kept myself very hidden, very locked up, and very alone. I was very, very isolated. She was my 4th pregnancy, my 3rd child. And then I swear to God, the moment I conceived her, something shifted. And I'm like, this isn't right. Something is not right. Like there's something has to change. And I started leaning into all of that again. I started leaning into my clairs. I started leaning into, manifestation and all of the gateway drugs to this whole healing world, like affirmations and oracle cards and crystals and all those things. And the more I leaned in, the more I found that I wasn't alone. There are people out there like me who understand me and see me and hear me. And then I found Reiki, and Reiki unlocked everything for me. And then I started creating communities because I didn't have a community growing up. I didn't have anybody who saw me, who understood me, who got me and held me, because I had never been held in my entire life. I was raised by a narcissistic mother who cared about nobody but herself. So to finally find a community who could hold me and see me, and then I could hold them and see them in this beautiful way, has helped me extensively. I've hired mentors. I have a mentor who's been with me for years, and she is my saving grace. Like, I would not be where I am without her. I have lots of mentors, but it's just like finding that support, having a therapist, finding some, like all of these different avenues. And it's not just about like the mentors or the therapist or the doctors or the friends or the groups. It's also about like support in your every day-to-day life. That was a huge one for me. Hiring a house cleaner, which was a whole bunch of wounds I had to work through. Hiring somebody to help with my children. I have zero support with my children. Hiring, a bookkeeper, like all of these things, having that support in that community is so vital, especially for healers, because we hold so many people and we need to be held as well. So yes, I have a membership that has just like, it's grown and blossomed, and I have my Reiki groups and I have one-on-ones and I have so many different containers to help hold people because it's needed. It is so, so, so needed. So I know that's a lot. Sorry.
No, I love it. We do not apologize here.
You're welcome. That's what we say. We don't say we're sorry. We say you're welcome.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. And you're welcome. I am going to link all of your ways to work with you, link trees, websites, all whatever that is down below. So you guys can find it in the podcast description. I love that this is where Spirit is taking this conversation, because I think that the waves of awakening are just picking up, right? Like, I think we really had a big one in 2012. Yes. Then we had another one in 15, 17. And then we had one in 2020 that was massive, right? And since 2020, I feel like it's been blurry, because it's just like, oh, here we go. Here's another death wave of beings leaving the planet. Sped up, and awakening is happening quicker. And it's almost this overnight remembrance in some people's lives. I'll tell you a funny story. So I just did on 11/11, I held this event in New York City called the Brittany Renee Experience. And it was incredible. And my best friend, who has been with me since like college, before I was really tuned in and tapped in, she's my kid's godmother. We were sitting in New York after day one, and we're like laying in bed because we had shared a room. And I told her, I said, your gifts are really coming online. And she's like, she loves crystals and she believes in energy, and she like is my best friend, right? So she knows all the things. But for her, she's just kind of refused to like look at it. She's like, I don't know. So we're laying there and we're just laughing, like to the point of tears, because she's telling me all of the channel that she saw during the event. And she's like, I was seeing this and this was happening in my inner child. And she's just like, all the things. And I'm laughing. And I was like, you do realize like you're telling me your channel, right? Like you have sight, like you can see. And she's like, well, yeah, kind of. She's like, but I like don't want to talk to dead people. And I literally just busted out laughing, because 3 or 4 years ago, she lived in this house in Nashville, Tennessee, that there was a little slave kid that was still there. And she like, his name was Thomas. And we literally talked about Thomas all the time. And I was like, looking at her, I'm like, you already see and talk to dead people. Like, I don't know what you're even talking about, because she saw this energy in the New York place. And she's like, oh, so it was just this, like, you're scared of what? Like what you're already seeing and doing. And it's just like that sisterly kind of like, or tribe reaction of like, babe, you're already magic. Like you're already doing this. You already have all the codes, all the gifts. Like, what are we talking about? And then it's less like, oh yeah, okay. Yeah, we're already doing this. Oh, all right. And it was this really cool shift in this like really tight friendship space of like, own it, just own it. And I think that's the energy that's happening in these communities and tribes and one-on-ones. And just even us talking this podcast, it's like people are getting called to own it. And I am like that bitch. I'm like, you better own it, right? Like I am all about the like embodiment and juicy, pleasureful living. And you are too. Like every time you hit the stage, I'm like, what's happening with the dragons? Which I would love for you to talk about dragon energy, because this is something that when I started to see, which I am so similar in my story too, about my awakening. I knew I had gifts. I'm Native American. My mom and my whole grandfather lineage is the like chief of the Assiniboine tribe. And my mom always told me I had gifts. And I was like, you're crazy. Then I like, started again, same thing, astrology, numerology, yoga, all the meditation. But when I got pregnant with my first son, I could not deny like any of it anymore. It was so strong. And I think what it is for me, I've just kind of acknowledged it as like my portal activation, quite literally, because we're like housing these souls, right?
Literally, yes.
Literally portal activation. And with every child I've had, it's been more expansive. Like it's been like more, and I'm just, it's so cool to talk to other moms who are awakened, because I think we all share this, like, yep, when I got pregnant, when I had the kid, through like the pregnancy, through the birth, through motherhood. And then it's just this next level of conscious parenting of like, it's that's like a whole other topic, but I would love to talk about the dragons, and then we can talk about conscious parenting, because that's a whole fun topic too.
I know, that's like a whole other topic. Yeah. So it's actually funny that you were talking about like calling people out and owning your shit. I literally just recorded a reel right before this about like owning your shit, because that's the energy that's obviously up right now. But yeah, so dragons entered my, so I've been working with dragons my entire life. I didn't consciously know it. I mean, I knew, like, when I was very little, I was very attracted to them, very, like, very, very deep into their energy. But again, with everything else, I shut it down because it wasn't normal. It wasn't okay. So I allowed that part of myself to slip away. And then they slowly started coming back. And then 3 years ago, they came back and they were like, legitimately in my face. There was no way around it. And I had worked with, like, I done a lot of unicorn magic. I like really leaned into Reiki. I've been working with angels and guides and deities and all these things very closely, very intently. And the dragons came in and they're like, it's time. And I'm like, it's time for what? Like, who are you?
I love those messages.
I know. And I'm like, I don't know who you are, but like, I kind of know who you are. And then our relationship really started to grow and blossom. And it has completely taken over my life. Not in a bad way, like in the most beautiful way. And then I started I co-teach 5 Element Dragon Fire Reiki with the creator and owner of 5 Element Dragon Fire Reiki. And that is its own beautiful entity. And that strengthened my relationship with the elemental dragons and so many other things. And then it was actually in October, so right before my birthday, I was at a very low point. I was in a beautiful little death portal, as we all go through those. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't like, something has to change. Something has to give. I cannot keep going like this. I've been working at this for 7 years and something has to gain traction. And they're like, make a video and talk about us. And I said, excuse me, what? Why would I do that? Why would I go talk about dragons? They're like, just fucking do it, Carrie. My dragons are very blunt and to the point. So I did it. Didn't think anything of it. My views on Instagram were like maybe 100 to 200 views a video. I checked my Instagram the next morning. I had 30,000 views on that video. I had went viral overnight. And since that moment, I have gained over 12,000 followers. Every single video hits at least 2,000 people. And the dragons have been coming in like crazy because they said it's time. People need this energy. And if this is the energy people are going to attach to wake up, then this is what's going to happen. And we have, I work with them every single day. I have for years, but now I'm teaching people how to work with them on a whole other level, calling them in to call in abundance, calling them in to open your heart. I'm doing a heart activation one on the 1212 portal. Was not planned that way. They picked the date and then I looked at it later when I was talking to my VA. It's crazy. But it's just like all of this beautiful energy has healed me. And dragons are the definition of truth, power, and honesty and love. They are the most loving beings I've ever worked with. I had never felt true love, unconditional love until I started working with dragons. Like I said before, like I never knew that I was held. I'd never felt held, especially by my earth mother. And then to feel the energy of the dragons holding me and loving me unconditionally was unlike anything else. And they've strengthened my relationship to Gaia, Mother Earth, to God. It's the trifecta I connect to every single day, my highest self. And it has changed my life. And I could never not work with them at this point. It's just the way it is. And I'm so grateful to be a channel for their medicine in whatever capacity that they trust me to be. So that's my little spiel on the dragons.
I love that so much. Yes, y'all, if you have not seen Carrie on Instagram, please go follow her. Ooh, so much energy is moving through my body.
I know. It's like clearing all this out right here.
Yes. It's funny because I think we can segue into the kid thing here in a second. I had looked at one of your videos that you were talking about dragons, and my littlest was sitting next to me and he's like, what did she say? And I'm like, she talks to dragons. And he's like, let me watch the video. And so he's sitting there watching it. And I looked at him and I was like, do you see dragons? And he's like, no, not really. And I was like, okay, because my kids are both super in tune, as I'm sure yours are too, right?
Oh yeah.
And it's so interesting to watch like the younger generation listening to like our messages, listening to our channels. And it's this really cool, they get it, even if they're like, yeah, that's not like my realm, but like, I get it. I see you. I
Mm-hmm.
hear you. And then we talked later about the dragon energy. And one of my girlfriends, her daughter literally has a dragon that she works with all the time. It's like her little friend. And she like, just, it's like everyday conversand,
Mm-hmm.
like, oh,
Oh yeah.
her name's Kiki. She just hangs out with me. She's
Mm-hmm.
purple. I'm like, I love this so much. And for me, the dragon energy, ooh, came in really heavy in like 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it's kind of left my realm a little bit. And I don't know if it's just because I utilized the energy I needed when I needed it. And now it's just
Mm-hmm.
like not in my realm as much, but I'm just fascinated by it. And every time dragon energy does come in, it feels so expansive and so like the depth is uncanny, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
just so big. And so I love that you are sharing this because I know there are so many people probably even listening to this who are like, oh, I'm not crazy. Okay, cool. So like, this is a real thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the realms that we get to play in when we wake up are so fun and so incredible. And, when I was younger, I remember seeing and feeling like mythical, quote unquote, creatures. And it didn't even like, I didn't think anything of it. Because when we're little, it's just like,
You don't. It just is.
it's just, yeah, that's what's happening. And I love that now we're coming into this adult resonance and channel with these beings. And we're like, oh, okay, you've been here, you've been around because there's magic within this space and there's a
Mm-hmm.
channel within this space. So thank you for bringing that channel and that medicine because that's not my channel in medicine. And I'm just always in awe of people who are bringing this expansion and this like growth and depth that I'm like, yes, like bring
Mm-hmm.
more magic. I'm so here for the magic.
I love it. And it is. It's like it wasn't a hard thing to step into. It's been rough because dragons are very, people fear dragons. They fear them. They're big, massive beasts. They also do not, but there is no such thing as fear in a dragon's existence. So when you're working with them, they help you become fearful and stand in your power in the most beautiful way. Because you're like, I don't work with dragon medicine. And they're like, yes, she does. She just does. Like every time you're like, it's time, y'all. Stop making excuses. That is your dragon. And I do believe
So maybe I've just embodied it more.
You've embodied it. And exactly. We step into it and we embody it. And then like, yes, I say I work with dragon medicine, but my high self is a dragon. So there is no like, it's hard to explain to people who don't understand. But if you're listening to this, you probably understand on some level. And I love that you're talking about the kids too. It's so cool because kids are like, they are so close to the spiritual realm. Like they understand and they see and they feel. And I think that's why when I became pregnant with my daughter, everything really activated because she is a pure soul. And she is one of like, she talks to her dragons. She lays on she goes out, I'll find her. I'm like, can't find her. She's outside laying on the ground talking to Gaia. Like that's just, and she's 6 years old. And seeing that and seeing her pure, authentic, like deep connection. And I taught her a long time ago that like, yes, I'm her physical mother, but her true mother is Gaia and her true father is spirit. And like it's like, I'm so excited and proud and I hope she sticks with it. But just seeing that, like, I'm in a human body, like I'm gonna make mistakes, but you always have these tools and these beings to reach out to. And my sons as well. Like my sons totally understand it on their own level. And like Reiki healed one of my sons and he uses it daily on himself. So it's just so cool to witness this and reparent myself while parenting children in this very intense time of life that we were granted to be on right now.
We chose. We're like, drop me in. Like, drop me in here. This is where I want to go.
Wait, why now? Like,
oh,
my running joke is I'm like, why couldn't I just be a farmer? Like, I love what I do on every ounce of my being, but I'm like, we had to choose this path right now.
Girl, I talk to like my higher self all the time, and I'm
like, really? Are we sure this was the right? Like, you picked the right exact path.
I know. Well, and I think the thing with the kids too, and then what's even just speaking on this point, right? It's really incredible to be able to even look at the kids and say, like, this is a tough human moment. And you chose this, right? You chose this relationship. You chose this, space, you chose this experience. And my oldest likes to come at me and he's like, there's no way I chose this. And I'm like, oh, honey, Believe me.
Actually.
Yeah, actually, you're going to keep thinking this throughout most of your life. Like, there's no
The
way
entire
I
time.
signed up for this.
Every day.
Yes. But it's one thing that I think is really cool about reparenting ourselves consciously while we're being parents is this, like, really, it is authenticity. Like, it's this drop in of just like, I will have moments that I am so over capacity. My kids know that's a word. And like, they'll come up and they'll be like, Mom, are you over capacity? And I'm like, you feel me? I am. And they'll be like, do you need love? Do you need a hug? They're like asking like what I need, which I love the reflections of like, okay, cool. I'm raising 2 boys. Like, I don't have any girl energy in this house besides mine. And so it's like, I know the depth, and I'm sure you resonate with this, of the responsibility we have as parents to raise these conscious, authentic, embodied, unapologetically themselves children. And also the, just like the level of chaos that can come with, right? To like allow our kids to just be who they are. I have had so many conversations with my family, specifically like more grandparent lines of, your kids are just wild. Like, they're not going to fit into this and that, or like, I can't believe you let them do this or that, or, they hate wearing coats. It's winter. Okay. We're in Indiana. They hate wearing coats. My youngest literally like walk outside barefoot. And like, yeah. And my grandma the other day, we're leaving her house and she's like, honey, like, oh my gosh, and I was like, he doesn't want to wear it. Like, I have coats, I have shoes. They just don't want to wear them. And I'm like, if you're good, then whatever. And my littlest is constantly just trying to connect with the earth. Like, he'll ask me, he'll be like, can we go put our feet in the ground? And I'm like, yes, like, let's go. And now my oldest is now understanding like to go in his own space. And he's like, I just need a moment to myself. And I'm like, good. Okay. Do that. And it's like the reparenting we have, like, I luckily had a mother who was very incredible and very present. On the other side, I had a father who was in and out of the system, who was here one day, gone the next, and so my dad abandonment wound is like big. So for me, I'm constantly noticing like myself in this, I never want to give that to my kids, right? Which I can only imagine with the narcissistic family energy, what that comes up for you. But it's this like, I feel like being a conscious parent puts parenthood on like steroids, because you're like, oh, is this moment going to create trauma? Is this going to be this?
Every day.
Right. And I'm like, there's moments where like, I am not perfect and I will raise my voice, because I'm like, we have hockey sticks flying across my house and like someone's going to get hurt. I'm like, put the sticks down. And then I like breathe and I sit with them and I'm like, I am sorry that I yelled. I am over capacity. It is not your responsibility for you to control how I energetically respond to things or my emotions. And we say, I'm sorry a lot. We talk a lot about like owning our stuff, I love for you to riff on this, but because I can talk about this forever, but it's just anyone who's a parent and who's in the awakening process, like, have grace on yourself, because this is parenthood in general is a lot, but like
parenting when you're spiritually awakening. Oh my God. Like so my boys are 18 months apart. So like the hockey sticks, I'm like, I'm pretty sure that happened yesterday. Like it is, and it's so hard because I'm like, I am overstimulated. My kids they're 18, like my boys are 18 months apart. And then my daughter is 18 months younger than my son. So they're very close in age. I had three and under, and they're just, so it's a very close
bless you
age grade. It's a lot. I chose this. It's fine. But like, there are times where I'm like, y'all, I love you so much, but outside, or I need alone time. And like, it is. And I love that you said your son takes alone time now. So my second son, he is a manifester, and he has this very, very, very big energy. And if it's not going his way, then it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until he gets what he wants. And that can be very explosive. And he's also my most empathetic child. And he feels everything to the 1000th degree. So like teaching him and showing him that, okay, we're about to flip our lid. Like, let's take a breath, and why don't you go spend some alone time? And again, he's 7. So it's very new to him, but he's learning. And now I'm watching him realize when things are starting to escalate and he can walk away. And when I catch it, because we trigger each other, like we are mirrors, we trigger. And that's the other thing about children. Every single wound that you have, they will just they will push it. My daughter specifically, I mean, because she's everything that I was not allowed to be. And I think that's why I'm so determined to let her be her authentic, bold, loud self, because I wasn't allowed to. I wasn't allowed to speak up. I wasn't allowed to wear what I wanted. I wasn't allowed to, I mean, the girl wears princess tutus and high heels and crowns to school.
Yes,
that's
honey.
And that's how she is. And we joke because she rules our household, and that's not like in a negative way. She's just this beautiful, loving, powerful energy where she can see what everybody needs and she adjusts it. And she so it's so hard because I'm like, I want you to be your perfect self, but I don't want to ruin you. Every day I'm like, am I ruining you? Is this going to be trauma? I swear I'll pay for your therapy. It's fine. Like, I promise you I'll pay for it. It's going to be, and I say that like at least once a week. Every time, you're the worst mom ever. I'll pay for your therapy. It's fine.
But the totally steal that.
Oh my God. It's amazing. I love it. I love that you're like the no shoes, no coat mom. I'm like, why am I going to force them to do something they don't want to do? Yes, I will make them bring it. Like, if we're going somewhere, like, we live in the middle of Vermont. We live on the back roads. We don't have cities. We don't have everything is within a half an hour driving distance. So for safety reasons, I'm like, you have to at least bring it with you. I don't care if you wear it, but do the thing. But I've never once forced my children, because what is that doing? That's telling them that their thoughts, their needs aren't valued. Like, what they are feeling is not important. And they're like, as a parent in this awakening stage, I want to show them how to be themselves in the safest way, and that they're valued. And as a human, I don't think we were shown that we are validated enough. Not that we need the validation, but growing up for me, my feelings were not validated. I was told I was wrong or stupid, or I couldn't speak my truth. So it's like, am I going too far, the pendulum, the other way? But I'm trying to balance it. And it's so parenting is like the hardest thing I've ever done.
It really is, and I think to one point though, children do need validation, and it's adults, like, we have to find that within ourselves, right? Yes. But when we're little, we find that through other people. That's not an internal switch. And
exactly,
my kids are about 3 years apart. So I have almost 5 and just turned 8-year-old. And it's been so interesting because my oldest is a manifester. My youngest is a Manny Jin.
My daughter's a Manny Jin.
Yeah. And I'm a projector, right? So our designs play interestingly in the household. Right. However, it's been really, really intriguing to me to just let them be. And I will say that is one thing my mom actually, I think, did often for us, was just kind of let us be. However, there was just much more. I was raised in expectation. I'll say that. Okay. My family is wealthy and we were raised in this kind of affluent energy, right? So I've just always known that it's very easy for me to be in that space. And in those affluent spaces, there are expectations. Now, those expectations are getting pushed more now than ever. But, one of the things that I realized that I've unwound, right? And I'm sure you feel this too. I'm like, I don't want my kids to feel like they have to follow expectations. If that's not your truth, then that's not your truth, and that's okay. So how can you show up in these spaces respectfully while also honoring your truth, which this is still something I'm working all the time, right? So I think that the codes that we're working get trickled down to the kids in such an incredible way that I'm so excited to see these kids as adults, to stay babies. But I'm like, this generation is going to be fire. To have friends and partners who are able to communicate, I'm over capacity. I need to step away. You're really triggering and mirroring stuff to me that does not feel comfortable. I'm like, my whole body just lights up in oh my gosh, like I'm grateful that's where I find the gratitude in the parenthood, because I'm like, I'm grateful that I get to be a part of this, right? The
Exactly.
molding of remembering that it's okay to just be whoever
Hmm.
you are. And if you want to go stand in the rain and lay on the ground when it's like pouring outside and you don't want to wear shoes and a coat, like do it. Go connect with the energy.
I'm like, that's me. I'm like, I'm the one that lays in the rain on the
Me
ground pretty
too.
much. And I love that you're like, you were raised in such a not a wealthy upbringing, but I was at the complete opposite. We had absolutely nothing. We had no expectations. My parents, they have no self-worth. They do not value themselves. They do not value money. They do not value anything. I mean, we literally had nothing. I grew up on food stamps. I grew up going, losing our houses, losing our cars left and right. So for me to start stepping into this world of wealth, so to speak, is this whole other thing. And then I find myself not over giving, but also giving to my kids because I didn't have anything growing up. I never had the toys, and we never got to go on the vacations. I didn't go on a plane until I was in my 30s, 20s. So like for me, like, and now we go down and we have a house in Florida. Like we visit a house in Florida every single year. So like this new and like trying to reparent, but also show myself and be grateful and show my kids how to have gratitude without being expectant of the gratitude. But I love that you're saying, like, I'm so proud of my kids and watching them and knowing that they will have the communication skills, because I don't have those skills. My husband sure as hell does not have those skills. We were trauma bonded and we are working through a hell of a lot together. And so us like learning and growing and shifting in front of them is so huge. And I'm so grateful that I started this process when they were babies so that we can do this as they're growing up, opposed to me. And again, everybody has their own timeline of healing. So if you start when you're like 50, 60, that is exactly when you're supposed to start.
Exactly.
But I'm very grateful that I have started while my children are young so that we can grow and learn together and work on the communication piece and work on, the gratitude and the not over give me energy in just a beautiful, beautiful way.
I love all of that so
Yeah.
much. I'd love to talk about abundance. This is like a good segue into abundance. It's so interesting to hear people's stories around money and like how they were brought up and where they're at now and how they receive. And, one of the things for me that I didn't realize really was how much of a gift it was that I had a dad who was an entrepreneur. Like I saw him do his own businesses. I saw how that worked. And when I came into getting into like college and stuff, like I wanted to be a makeup artist. I was like, I want to do makeup school. That's what I want to do. And my whole family is very like engineers, business people, like makeup school was not the thing, right? Of course, I'm the black sheep. It's fine.
It's fine.
And they were like, that's not a real job. And I'm sitting here like, but there are people making a lot of money for this not being a real job and like doing these really cool things. So I had this like expectation agreement. Expectations come in. My grandparents are like the pillar of the wealth in the family. So they help assist paying for schools, cars, all the things. So the kind of family unspoken agreement is like, you go through all the steps, we'll help you do that, and we'll fund that with you, right? But if you veer the other way, which I was the first one in the family to do, really, I guess my dad technically, but in a big way was me, the funding gets cut. Like there is none, right? So they were like, go to real school, quote unquote. So I went down to Bloomington to Indiana University. I was there basically partying my ass off for like 2 years. And I'm like, you're wasting your money. Like, I'm not going to use this degree. I'm literally just partying, which is great. It's fun. But like, even then at like, I think I was 19, I'm like, I'm wasting time. Like I am here to do something and I'm wasting time. And so I ended up moving to Nashville, Tennessee. And I was like, I'm just going to figure out how to do this makeup thing on my own. And it was like spirit dropped in every person that needed to be there. I was like bartending. This person came right from makeup school in Tennessee and was talking about makeup school at the bar. And I'm like, ears perked up, like, wait, what? And so I find this makeup academy. It's like perfect fit, budget fit, all the things. And end up going and getting certified in makeup. And then I made a career for like 11 years and probably more like 13, but professionally 11.
Yeah.
And it was an interesting shift to see my family go from this isn't a quote real job to like, we're actually really proud of you because you made something. Like I lived in New York City. I worked in New York Fashion Week. I worked in magazines, and I moved to LA. I worked in indie films and modeling and all the things, right? I'm like, this is just my energy of what I do here in the human experience is like, oh, you're going to tell me this isn't real. Watch me, like, watch me show you it is, right? And so for me though, starting my own business, doing my own thing was, I'm going to say effortless in meaning that there wasn't a fear to do it because I've seen it done. And then I started realizing, oh, a lot of people are really scared to like jump off the cliff and like, I'm not going to have like a 9-to-5, like steady income. I'm going to have this job. And so I know that I chose this family because I had these experiences of wealth. I had this support, but I also was the black sheep of the family who had all these other little connectors that gave me the code to know I can do this. I can create my own space. And then I realized I went on this own journey of like, what is wealth to me though? Right. And I didn't want to be associated with wealth for a while because to me, there was so much stifling energy and so much stipulation and expectation and like, but it has to go this way. And I was just like throwing my hands up. I'm like, I don't want any of that. Like, I don't want any of that energy. Like, I'll be okay in a tiny house out on a farm, like living my best life. And I had to really like, I swung the pendulum hard to the other way. Cause I'm like, I'm a gypsy. I'll travel and live and work wherever. I'll live out of my suitcase. Like, you know, fine. And now I've kind of swung back into, I actually want a lot of wealth because wealth is freedom in this matrix that we live in. And I know how much I can help the collective and people and my children and my family and my grandchildren down the line with money. And I'm redefining what money is. And so I work a lot in abundance grids and templates. And now I help unlock a lot of people because I'm like, oh, I actually have housed these codes of like, on the flip side from your childhood, right? I was on the other end where like we had houses in New Jersey and a house in New York and Indiana. We have like a mansion at my grandparents. And when we traveled, it's like we're flying, you know, business class or in great seats. And then we're staying at the Ritz-Carlton or like the Plaza in New York. And it's just, these experiences were normal for me. So me walking into any space of money, totally comfortable. Like, and then I did pageants all growing up. So like put me in a gown and like, hey, you know, but it's also so funny because I'm like, oh, I know now part of me, a big part of me is here to rewire what wealth is and how wealth is perceived and how we make money in this purpose-driven way. Right. So I'd love to hear, because I feel your energy is like getting big over there, what this resonates for you. But you know, anyone who is listening to this right before I toss this over to you, if you have not examined your relationship with money, I am going to send you the biggest invitation to do that, because right now in this ascension arc that we're in this collective rise of awakening, money is a part of it. And money is not evil. Money is energy, and it is freedom in so many ways. I'm going to let you take it over.
Yes. All of that. And that is the biggest thing is like, you know, I came from, you know, money is the root of all evil. Only bad, horrible people have money. Money's not going to get anything for you. Money doesn't grow on trees. What do you think I am? I'm made of money. Like, these are just like some of the normal things that I were constantly hearing. Like, growing up, you know, my parents had no organization around money. I've disconnected from them. Like, they have hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of debt and they just don't know how to manage money. So I came into adulthood with no idea how to do any of this, that like, I didn't, like, money's bad. Why would I work hard? Why would I like, so it was this really intense, like, mind trip. So when I started doing all this work and started learning about money mindset, it was like, I had spent years, and I'm still healing my relationship with money, but rewiring and rewriting the codes around money and what wealth is for me. And again, I had this idea that I had to change who I was to receive money. Yes, in some aspect, but also no. I am still the same person who wears workout leggings and no bras 90% of the time. Like, that's not going to change. I'm still going to leave my bed unmade sometimes. I am still going to leave dishes in the sink. those parts of me are never going to change. But I had to retrain myself and connect myself to money. I had to heal that relationship. And it was a lot of, you know, where is my mindset? Every time a bill came in, I went to full-blown panic, or my mother ignored all bills. She would throw them in the garbage. And if they were out of sight, they were out of mind. And she would just let the bill stack up. So I had to retrain myself to just like, oh, let's look at this bill. Let's process this bill. Let's figure this out. And it was really fucking hard. And it's still hard. So for me, you know, my husband works paycheck to paycheck. We were struggling for years and years and years. And it wasn't until recently that I started making money in my own business. I had no fallback. I had no security. I paid for my own cars. I've had a job since I was 11 years old. I went to college. I ended up dropping out. I was the first person in my family to go to college, but I had to work because I had to make money and I had to pay for my one semester at college. Nobody was going to do that for me. I had no scholarships. I had nothing. So my option was I'm learning, because I went to culinary school. Culinary was my background. I knew that I was going to make more money and learn more in a kitchen than I was going to school. So my mind has always been, I have to do it by myself because nobody's going to do it for me. And that's how it's been my entire life. So, you know, every time I had a car issue, it was up to me. Every time I had a bill come in, it was up to me. I had nobody ever to fall back on. And so it's like I had this frustration with money because it was never coming in when I needed it. And I was working my ass off. I was working all the time. I was pregnant and working with my kids. And I'm like, I couldn't do it anymore. And it was right after my second son. That's when I stopped working because we couldn't afford daycare because that was impossible. It was impossible to do daycare and work. We were going to lose money. So I stayed home and I started with network marketing, LuLaRoe, started selling LuLaRoe years ago. And that was my gateway to the online space and realizing I could make money from home. And that opened up all my other channels too. But it was like I had to, and I'm still trying to heal that and heal my nervous system. I did a lot of nervous system regulation and holding myself. So every time I had money coming in, I had to sit there because I'd have a panic attack because I had never seen so much money drop into my account. And then, I mean, it was like, I'd have $1,000 come into my account because I'd never seen that much at one time. And that was like, just to show you how far from where I came to where I was. Like, I remember, you know, 10 years ago, digging for cash in my car to get gas, like coins to get gas. Like we had nothing. So for me to all of a sudden be like, oh, I can go get groceries and not have to look at, you know, every item and check off how much food costs was a huge thing for me. And again, this has been a very massive shift over the past couple of years. So I'm still like retraining and like calming myself down and being like, okay, we're not in that place anymore. We are not in that place anymore. We are safe. And for me, the same way, I've had to tell myself that, you know, money creates freedom, the same way you said. It creates freedom. It creates experiences. When I make money, I can help others make money. Because when I make money, I can pay my bookkeeper. She has children too. When I make money, I can pay my VA. She can pay for things. I can pay my OBM. I can pay, you know, I can help in, like, I donated money to the food shelter today. I've never been able to do that before in my entire life, but I have the space to do that now. And that right there, like, it gives me joy. When bills come in now, I get excited because I know that the money's going somewhere and I'm going to get more back. And I've just like, so I've had to, it's been years and years and years of this, trusting that it's going to come in and understanding that it's breath. Like it's an in breath and an out breath. Money is circulation. Money is energy. And if you treat money as I say money's a lover. Like if you treat money like a lover, then it's going to respect you. But if you treat money like this bad thing that only comes and goes when it wants to, why would it come to you? Like, why would money come to you if you're going to talk shit about it and say, you're bad, I only like you when you come to me? So it's been this massive, like the past, I want to say like the past couple of years, but especially the past year has been like every day it's this new level that's been unlocked around healing my relationship. Like I said, hiring a housekeeper, the amount of shame and shit and guilt and like negative comments I got from my family. How dare you? How spoiled and narcissistic you are that you have a house cleaner. Same thing with like getting my hair done. Like the amount of shit I got from my mom to going to a salon, only rich people do that. That is so self-centered. That is so narcissistic. I have a monthly appointment with my esthetician. I go to my salon all the time. Like I get massages all the time. Like self-care is so important, but it took me so long to realize that it's okay and it's safe to have money, that you're not a horrible person because you have money. So it's like this whole other trippy thing that a lot of people, it's insane. It's a lot.
And thank you for sharing that. It's so real though. And for me, what was interesting is like, I came from all this wealth, right?
Mm-hmm.
The wealth was available, quote unquote, when I'm in their line of belief. What was wild for me was I also had those experiences where I was like digging for change to pay for, Taco Bell with my best friend, and like, how am I going to pay for this? And I roomed with like 4 different people just so we could live in the apartment. Right. And I had always carried this faith that I knew I was taken care of because things did drop in somewhere, right? Like I'd get some random check or something. So I knew, like, even if it's tight, even if it's late, I know I'm taken care of, while simultaneously, experiencing this huge duality of like, I'm struggling to pay for whatever it is. I'm trying to start my own business. I'm trying to do this and that. My family, knowing I'm struggling, having all of this wealth behind them, and choosing to say, well, you'll figure it out, right? Like, sorry that that's happening. And the biggest thing that for me, it wasn't even, I never felt like they owed me, right? I'm like, everyone has free will. And I've never felt like anger around that. It was more me getting in my own space of like, if I was a parent or a grandparent and I was witnessing my child or grandchild start their own business, do something so crazy like packing a suitcase and a makeup kit and one-way ticket moving to New York City, and I had the amount of wealth that they held, I would be like, how can I help? Like, and maybe mentor that. Like, if you want to be a business person, my grandfather is a businessman. I'm like, there's just so much there that I like, my brain couldn't wrap around it. And now I just ended this partnership with someone who was very wealthy also. And it's just like my experiences with people and wealth and the expectation and all of the things just continue to be put in my face around the redefinition of it, because I'm like, we don't play like this anymore. Like the template of money, we're changing that. Like, this is not how this is going to go. And, I love delegating. Like, that is one of my things. And anyone who on here is an energy worker or healer or empath, like, y'all better learn to delegate.
Give it away. Give it away if you can give it away. If it's not
like,
your zone of genius, find somebody who can do it.
Well, and the other thing is, like, I was just talking about this yesterday with one of my clients. We have to create the new economy. Like, we are creating the new economy. The old money that's stuck in the stock markets and the businesses that are not conscious, that's the old template. Like, we are creating the new economy. Our OVMs, our VAs, our housekeepers, like whoever it is, this is the new grid. This is the new earth. This is the new economy. So like, you literally like have to come into the space where you realize like, we have to create it. And that's where the circulation comes in, because we have to create it. So in the circulation of money, though, it's really important in these rewires that we're doing in the template and in the thought form around, I give money, I, put money out into whatever systems I need help with that are assisting me in my self-care and my growth and my personal tending, knowing, trusting, understanding, it is feeding so many more mouths. It is creating so many more opportunities. It is going to come back to me tenfold because I'm doing this in the most authentic way, right? Like all of that, it's so much mindset work.
It's so much. And I think that was one of the things to me is I never trusted it to come back. So now when I like, my mantra is every penny I spend or every dollar I spend, it comes back to me threefold. So if I spend $100, I get $300. And so far that's been 100% on point or more. But I had to learn to trust that it was going to come back. And I know that when it's coming back, I can help so many people. I can donate money to my kids' school so they can they go to nature school. They're outside. They need a lot of they need snowshoes, like all of those things. Like I can donate to those things. My kids can do all the sports they want to do. They can, I'm helping and able to help on such a level that I couldn't witness growing up. Like we were the ones receiving donations growing up. And now to have it reversed is such this like I have chills realizing that to have this whole like flip about how like the mindset around money and just knowing that it creates so much freedom and so much possibility and so much help. Like I can, and also the more money I make, the more people I can help. Because if I'm making more and I have money coming in, I can offer more services for free. I have more capacity because I can help people at a different level, opposed to, struggling financially myself and needing the money coming in. So it's just this really cool, like watching it all unfold in the most beautiful way.
I love that so much. And, I agree. That is one of the biggest, I think, first flips when I coach anyone around money is you have to understand, you have to let go of all the programming and all the belief systems, all the societal bullshit that said money is bad or only so many people can have money. Like this is literally money, first of all, is paper. It is fake. Like it's not even real. I'm going to say it. It's just not even, there's always more money. We just print more money. Like,
exactly.
It's just
the whole
I'm
mind.
not even going to
blows my mind. Anyway.
Right. The economics of the things. But, the reminder though, that I give people is I'm like, you have to understand especially spiritual people, right? There's this whole stigma around you should be giving away your energy and your gifts for free. Like,
did you see my video the other day? Oh
no,
sorry, you can continue. So I had posted something, and somebody commented on my thing, how dare you charge for your services? This is ridiculous. If you have a gift, why are you gatekeeping it? And why are you making people, pay for it? And I get like 20 to 30 messages a day because I charge for my services. And the amount of people who expect things for free. And somebody else says, so I made a video. I'm like, listen, y'all, this was the dragon commenter. She had a very fiery message. Nothing is for free. I'm like, we live in a time and age where money is a necessity. I'm not going to sit here and give you my things that I have spent thousands and thousands of dollars on to learn, my own gifts, my own medicine. This is me offering this to you. I have spent years harnessing this power. And a lot of people got pissed off because they're like, well, this is stupid. I would never pay for that. Or people message me all the time. Can you give this to me for free? I'm in a hard time. Can you give this to me for free? Like one of my offers is $55. I'm like, if you can't manage $55 and prioritize that in your life, then that's a whole other thing. Anyway, so I go on this, not a tangent, but I make a quick video being like, you don't go to the doctors and expect them to heal you for free. The phone that you're complaining to me on right now, I guarantee you paid money for it. Somebody just didn't make it and give it to you for free. But you're sitting there telling me that I can't charge for who I am and what I do as a spiritual person because I'm a healer and I must give it to you for free. Like, no, thank you. And that's something that my mentor and I have worked really, really deeply on in awakening in the spiritual community is it is safe for healers to receive money. It is important for healers to receive money because when we're receiving money, we can heal so many more people. But there is this very negative and it pisses me off, honestly. Like, why do you get and I commented, and this was not my highest beautiful self. I was very nice in it, but I'm like, I have a question. Like, do you go to work? Do you get paid for a job that you do? They're like, yes. I'm like, are you expected to do that for free? They're like, well, absolutely not. I'm like, then why am I expected to do my work for free for you? But there is this is something we're trying to break down in our own energetic circle and spread it, is this stigma around healers receiving money because it needs to stop. And if you're a healer out there, and if you do something, if you're a Reiki master, if you're a massage therapist, if you are a tarot reader, or you just want to help and coach people, stand up for your worth and charge your worth. And the more that you raise your prices, the more aligned people are going to come into your world and the more people you can help. It's just but sitting there and allowing people to shame you for charging for who you are and your medicine, it's hard, but it needs to stop.
Heck yes, girl, preach. I literally, I think that the weird thing is that we are not that different. I mean, we are very different. Yeah. We are similar to therapists.
Yes.
In what we do, right? Like we can sit on
We don't have the little paper, but we do a lot of the same work.
Right.
Mhm.
And we just take it actually to the next level past what a normal therapist would do.
Exactly.
And so, for me, anytime people have come at me, which I actually don't get as much anymore. I did in the beginning of me being more
Mhm.
public about my work, but I think people know like my fire will come at you if you try to bring anything to me around like money.
Mhm.
I'm like, let's talk about what that's bringing up in you. Like, what am I illuminating that's not feeling comfortable? Why do you
Mhm.
not feel that I am worthy of receiving reciprocity and exchange? Like, what are you giving to me if you're not going to give me a monetary exchange? What is this system? Right?
Mhm.
Like, I'm not here to give you my agency and my like energy and gifts and codes where
For
you just
nothing.
get to take.
Exactly. Exactly.
We're not here for that. And for me, like I've been very quiet this last year on social media. I started a relationship in January and I went into a mega quantum leap this past year and I'm just resurfacing like since August, September. And one of the things that was interesting is that at the time, my partner was requesting like privacy, didn't want me to really share a whole lot, which ended up me being like sharing nothing.
Mhm.
And now I'm kind of coming back into the social media world and I was already like doing bougie things, like going on girls trips and like staying at nice hotels and eating all like, the nice foods. So people knew like Bee's doing her thing. But now it's like what I'm bringing into the like realm. I just posted for the first time, I think it was yesterday or the day before. Maybe it was, I don't know, time is weird. I had just posted this post of like a recap about 23 and I had
Mhm.
posted like the private planes and I had posted like the beaches and my kids and I on the planes and like, all of these experiences that I've had this last year and that I know I'm here to have, right?
Mhm.
So I'm like, well, if anyone was uncomfortable with my content before, what you're about to be witnessing is really going to push buttons because it's like,
It's that expansiveness, and people are afraid of expansiveness. They're afraid of like wanting those things. And a lot of the times, like this is what not to, sorry to cut you off.
no, you're good.
Like my old self would have like I saw that video and I got so excited for you. And that's like a huge thing for me because my old self would have been pissed at you, would have been mad at you because how dare she show that? How dare she flaunt what she has? And now I'm in this like shows how much healing I've had around money. And I'm like, oh, cool, awesome. That's next on my list. And it is just like, and that's the thing. People are going to have two reactions. They're either going to get pissed and they're going to be like, how dare she flaunt what she has? Or like, it's not fair that I don't have that. Or they're going to be like, awesome. How do I get there? How do I step into that power? How do I get that? And then they make it happen. I think that's like a perfect definition of like the two types of people right now is they're either going to get pissed and sit with that negativity and just wallow in their victimhood, or they're going to be like, what do I do now? How do I do that? And I think for you, like watching that, I'm like, I want to do that. Let me see how I can do that. And I was like so excited for you. So like calling that in, and it's so beautiful. But people do like they get triggered by that stuff. And it
I like am not even gonna lie. Ever since I was little, I have been like I'm the theater kid. I danced my whole life. I did pageants,
Yep.
musical theater, like put me on a stage and I am like ready.
Yeah.
And I've always known I'm here for fame in a sense. I've known I'm here for abundance. I've known
Mhm.
I'm here to speak to thousands, millions of people. And I've always known like the stage is my home. Like it's
Mhm.
just always been my home.
You're
And
speaking to my soul.
yeah, I like, and I didn't speak these things for the longest time
Mhm.
because I was like, I don't want to come across like egoic or,
Yes. Mhm.
you know what I mean? Like boast, like that is not me. Like anyone who
Exactly.
knows me on a personal level, like I am so real. Like y'all see my social media, I share my grief that I'm going through. I will sit there and cry to a Taylor Swift song. Like I'm just like,
Uh-huh.
this is me. And my fear of sharing some of these things is that I don't want people to think I am flaunting like, ooh, look at me. I
Mhm.
want the energy to be like, are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Want to join me? Like, do you want to come do this? Right? Like, let's like all get really bougie. Let's all get really wealthy. Let's all like break the systems that don't fucking work anymore
Exactly.
and expand into some cool shit. Like, let's do it, you know?
Exactly.
And I agree. I think when people see, you know, people in wealth and in these experiences, if you get triggered, like if this is you, if you're listening and you're like, yep, that's me, I get pissed off. Like, why? Like
What
that
is
is your
it?
work.
Mm-hmm. Like, where is it in your body? That's like, what part of you believes that's not for you? Like, what part of you is so upset that you don't have that? And that's where you get to sit and look. And then you can make like the 1% shifts in your life to start creating that reality in your own world. And like, and I think that's what scares people a lot too, is they're like, they come from nothing and they see this, you know, massive world. And they're like, that's impossible for me to get there. But what they don't realize is it's not one massive step. Nobody has taken one massive step. It's 1% shifts every single day. And if you make 1% shift every single day for a year, you've made a full fucking turn, y'all. And like, your entire life will start shifting massively. And like, for me, like I said, I saw her video the other day. I got fucking excited for her. Couple years ago, I would have been pissed. I would have thrown my phone, probably be like, that bitch stupid. No offense, you're amazing. But that's like the energy and how much you can shift in a short amount of time. And I love that you were a theater kid, because like I was a full-blown theater geek. Like I've been on stage since I was 4. That was like, it's my happy place. And when I was and I talk about this all the time, when I was very little, I had an image. I was going to be a teacher and I was going to be on stage in front of thousands of people. And the more that I've stepped into my higher self, I didn't know this is what I was going to do when I was a kid, but I'm like, oh my God, I am a teacher. I just taught a class of 100 people last week. And like, now, like I'm working my way up to the stages and, you know, all of these cool things, but it's so cool. You're amazing.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it. And, you know, it's the other piece is, you know, your programming and your belief systems are going to really be illuminated in any of your triggers, right?
Exactly.
So it's like if your trigger is people with money or people that, you know, have something you don't, what is your belief with that? And like, why can that person not have that? And, you know, I think the trigger around the spiritual community having a lot of money is that outsiders looking in have this belief that we just like wake up one day and decide like, I'm going to charge $1,000 for this and everything's going to be great. And I'm going to have all these people come in and like, y'all, this is the gauntlet. Like, you are looking at all of your stuff, all of your belief systems. You are taking sometimes not just 1% turns, right? Sometimes we're in like 90-degree turns throughout a day when we get to our, you know, it's like
the amount
of
shit.
work. Yeah. Yes.
No,
the
like
work
amount of
that
shit
we
that
do,
comes up. Sorry. Yeah. It's just,
it is.
Yeah.
It's this. I'm going to just say it. Healers that are on the front lines right now and speakers and teachers, like all of us, like me too. I knew I was going to be a performer and a speaker, and that's exactly what I am. But the thing is, the work that we do, the amount of energy that we put into our craft, to our medicine, how much money we invest in mentors, in self-care, and all of the things, y'all, this is like 100 times what even a high-level CEO is doing. And I'm going to say that because I actually was just dating a high-level CEO. And I will tell you, okay, it is so much more work and self-accountability than any 9-to-5 corporate type of job. And if you're in a 9-to-5 corporate, I am not hating on you at all, because we need people in those systems too. But the amount of energy that we are doing and working on as people who our job is our life, it is our gift and our medicine, we should be able to ask for whatever we feel is a reciprocal exchange without the shame.
Oh my God. So much. All of that. Like I heard something today and it was like, you know, the reason that you're a teacher is because you want to learn all the things. And I'm like, the amount of money that I've invested in learning and like I don't ever turn off. Like that's not an option for me. I am always learning. I am always investing in myself. The amount of money that I've invested into myself and in the business that I have now is way more than I ever spent at college. But I knew, and like this every single day, I make the decision every single day to stand up and learn more and help more and stay aligned to who I am and stay aligned to my goals and make the hard fucking decisions every single day. Do I want to work out and journal and meditate every day? Sometimes, yes. But no, it's not easy. Do I want to have the conversations and apologize to my kids after snapping? Not all the time. I just want to be and have a tantrum and let my inner teenager rage, but that's not an option. So like the amount of time and energy that we're investing every single day of our lives, 24/7, 365, we're allowed to be paid for that. And not to mention, like when you're holding space for somebody, you're holding their energy and your energy. And then when you're holding space for hundreds of people, all of that, and you're telling me like we have to do that for free? No, thank you. One of my mentors says, like being an energy worker, you in 1 hour, you expend as much energy as somebody in an 8-hour day, like working an 8-hour day just in 1 hour. And the truth of that hit me so hard. And like we can't work as much. Like the truth of it is we cannot work 40-hour weeks. I cannot do that, especially my generator self. Like absolutely not. Like that's just not an option for me. I get bored really fast, but I can't do that. It's not physically possible. So like we have to work in a smaller amount of time and we're still doing all the things throughout the entire day. It's like pay us, allow yourself to be paid, know your worth, and receive all of that beautiful money.
Yes. Oh, so much fire in this conversation. I love it. And I think, I want to kind of shift in towards self-care and attending to self, right? So one of the other pieces I know on this awakening path is I want to invite all the listeners, viewers to just take a moment and ask yourself, what is the last thing I did for self-care?
Yes.
And if it's not something that has at least happened this morning or yesterday, we need to talk about it because if you are conscious, which everyone who is on this conscious awakening network obviously is conscious and mindful, you have to understand that your energy body, that your physical body, your mind, conscious, unconscious, subconscious, superconscious mind, your energy field requires tending every single day. And sometimes it's more, right? And sometimes it's a little bit, but this remembrance of self-tending and self-care, and I'd love for you in a moment to like share kind of what you do in your process is I realize when I get really in my business and I'm really in motion and I've got like all the things and all the clients and like, for my launch, I just did all these things. It's the first thing that always wants to go off the rails is like self-care, is the meditation, is the movement, is the breath work, is whatever it might be. It's just like, that's the thing that I constantly want to just be like, I'm going to push you aside because I don't have time for that. And then I end up getting rocked or whaled by energy. And I'm like, oh, now I have to like make time for that. Right. But, for anyone who is like empathic or in this awakening process, like I would love if you take something from this episode is really hearing over and over every day, like this voice say, what can I do for myself? Like in this moment and today, and like, how can I tend to my energy? And that looks different for everybody. So like, I'd love for you to share, like, what do you do? Like, what's your tending? What's your self-care?
I love this. So actually you just said what I said. So every day I make a point of asking myself, what do I need? What do I need? And for me, I used to, so journaling, meditation, and working out are my non-negotiables. So I created a morning routine every single morning that is my non-negotiable. And that's why I do it first thing in the morning. So I have no excuses. And that way I know that and nothing else gets done during the day, at least I did my non-negotiables. Working out for me was newer the past couple of years. I never used to work out. And then I got a Peloton and I became obsessed and all those things. But it has saved my life. And I know that if I don't work out, if I don't meditate, if I don't journal, I'm not a good person. I'm not grounded. I'm not myself. And you said that like meditation slides for you. For me, it's eating. I'm ADHD as well. Like, so I'm like doing this entire thing as a neurodivergent person, ADHD. So when I get wrapped up into my business, which is my safe place, it's my happy place. I love working because people listen to me. My children don't listen to me. So like, it's my very, very beautiful safe place. And so eating for me is like my basic human need that I forget sometimes. So I'll be like going through my
Same.
day and I'm just like, why am I vibrating? Why am I, and I'm like, oh, my body's like, did you eat? I'm like, no. Oops. So like, that's the thing that I do. Like, sometimes I do have to schedule in a reminder, be like, did you eat today? My husband's really good. He'll call me. He's like, have you eaten? And I'm like, no. He's like, it's 3:00, Carrie. I'm like, oops. But that, like, I really do, I do need to add that into my non-negotiable. I know that's like probably something that's very natural for people. That is not for me. I've always been like that. I've always fasted. It's just, that's how my body works. But for me, like the meditation, I created that morning routine, that morning ritual that has saved me. And even on the weekends, even when the kids are home, I'm I wake up really early in the morning. I'm up at 5:00 every single morning, which was not easy to do in the beginning. I meditate, I journal, and I work out. And that has helped me ground myself. And then if I have more time during the day, like there are times that I will meditate for, a longer, later in the day. And there are times where I will just like go take space for myself in the middle of the day. Or maybe I'll go sit in the hot tub, or maybe I'll take a longer shower, or maybe I'll do yoga instead of cardio. Like I always check in every single day, multiple times a day to see what I need. Because we have we're in this meat suit. We do need to keep this alive. And it's not, we forget that because we're spiritual and we live a lot up here, but it's really important to take care of our physical bodies, to drink lots of water. Hot people drink water. Make sure you drink your water, and like do those things for yourself.
So good. And it's funny because I'm the same way with food, and I fast, like I'm that 17-hour faster.
Yeah, same.
And I've realized though too, in like my process of work, I work better fasting. Like I do. My energy feels cleaner. I feel more in tune.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, my eat time isn't until like 3 or 4 in the afternoon, my matcha and my water in the mornings, like that's my thing. But,
yeah.
I also think that meditation, as you're speaking this, I'm like, I say like meditation slides, but then I like have to kind of check myself because before I even get out of bed every morning, I set a container around the boys every morning before I even let myself get my feet on the ground. And I do a little prayer and I check in and I just kind of take a scan of like, where am I at today? What's going on, And then in my routine of, after I drop my kids off on school weeks, I'm getting my coffee or my matcha and I'm sitting with myself and I'm praying over it and I have this ritual. So it's like, I do find the ritual every day, right? Even if it's like one of those crazy days, but the meditation sitting and like, okay, Brittany, let's like actually sit and like drop in. And like, we have, that is one of the first things for me that will like, just,
and I think like, and my point to that is that, like, meditation is one of my biggest parts of my coaching world, is that meditation looks different for everybody. There is no right or wrong way to meditate. There are days where, yes, I will just lie in bed extra and just like settle my brain. And that is meditation for me, or while I'm doing the dishes, or while I'm driving, or while I'm like, it doesn't have to look like sitting in, lotus pose for an hour. Like that is not a necessity. But as long as I'm checking in with myself, I mean, yes, I would love to sit down for an hour and meditate. The reality is I have 3 tiny humans I have to keep alive, and a house and pets and a husband and food and a business and like, and a business, this thing. And like, that's not the reality all the time. So I have a lot of grace for myself. And that is another huge part of my self-care, having grace for myself. I use Ho'oponopono a lot. I don't know if you know that prayer, but thank you. I love you. I forgive you. I'm sorry. Like during those times where I am, it's, 5:00 at night and I haven't eaten yet and I'm snapping at the kids. And it's just like having that self-care and that self-compassion for myself. Very, very deep, very powerful. And I do, like I said, I schedule times like at the esthetician with a massage therapist to give myself those physical, like self-care reminders, because that's so fucking important. And, and we forget, especially as mothers, like mothers, we're told, the society tells us we're supposed to give ourselves up when we have children. I do not fucking believe that. But that's just how a lot of people are. And like retraining, like people give me, I made a video about this the other day, the amount of shit that I get for like going on a work trip or spending time like on the weekends with like the amount of judgment I get for taking care of myself. I'm like, why is it when I'm taking care of myself, I'm showing my kids it's okay to take care of themselves? And I think that's a huge part of self-care, is showing them how important it is to love yourself first and foremost. You are with
Yes.
one person from the moment you take your first breath to the moment you take your last breath, and that is yourself. And if you don't learn to love yourself, I am so sorry, sweetie. Like, let's work on that. And loving your reflection in the mirror is so important. And it's like little things. What do I need right now? Do I need a nap? Do I need a hug? Do I need to go down and sit down and read? Do I need to wash my face for 15 minutes? Like, what do I need right now? And that's the best way to create a self-care routine around yourself. Like, it's about, because everybody looks different. We're all going to look different. We're not the same person. So what can you do for yourself?
I love that so much. It's such a prime and easy question. It's like, what do I need?
Exactly.
What is it that I need? And then just taking the action and giving yourself that, you know, and I think that, you know, the other piece of speaking on the motherhood or parenthood and like, you know, kids is like, I have had people, and it's interesting because I actually don't share my kids on socials very often. Like it's very rare that you see them on there for my own reasons. And, you know, I think it was over the summer, I had posted something and I was pretty like quiet this past year, like I said, and you could see the kids running and someone made a comment and they were like, is she a mom? And then there was this like banter in the comment section about like, well, she's traveling all the time. I don't think so. I never see kids. And they're like, no, you can go back in her videos and you see like a baby. And it's so fun. And it's like, I can feel, and I've had people say to me, you know, like, well, where are your kids? You know? And I'm like, first of all, like judgment, not really accepted here. So clear, cancel, delete. Also, my children already know. Like they're talking, my oldest was like, when I'm older, I'm going to go on trips with my friends. And I was like, yeah, you should, you know, like I share custody with my kids' dads. And so it's like, I have a week on and a week off now. This is new for me. Like they're both in school this year. This is new for me. I'm like, what is this freedom from like, you know, during the day to like do stuff. And then I have a whole week. Like what? And, you know, I am like such a better mother. I am such a better mother when I am, my cup is full. Like exactly. I had to unlearn the martyr energy.
Oh my God.
No one in my family does self-care. Like never saw it. It was like you pour into everyone else. The one thing that my family did have is like everybody was very about appearance, you know, because it's the affluent energy of like, you don't leave the house without your hair and makeup done. You don't leave the house looking whatever, you know? And so like, that was something that just carried with me, which I'm also very grateful for, but undoing that martyr energy of just like, I don't need anything you do.
It's so hard. And, you know, I'm breaking through that a lot right now. My kids are a little bit, I mean, they're 9, 7, 6. So they're still young, but they're old enough that I don't need them 24. Like my daughter was with me. She breastfed for 2 years. So she was on me for 2 years. So for me to step away, it was like I was getting shamed from my husband. I was getting shamed from my parents, from like all of these people about why are you leaving the kids? Why are you, you know, you're a bad mom. And I'm like, not for my husband, but like some of the other parts. And it was like, I'm like, this guilt, like full on like stabbing in the heart. Am I a horrible mother because I want to take care of myself? Am I a horrible mother because I need my own space? And it's like a lot of like inner dialogue I had to rewire and rework because it's fucking hard. And then the other part is like, we don't have support. Like we have no support with our children. So I don't have spaces. The only time I don't have is I'm not with my kids is when they're at school. Otherwise they're with me because we don't have a babysitter. We don't have grandparents. We don't have, you know, aunts or uncles. There's like no nannies around. Like that's not a thing in the middle of rural Vermont. So for me, I've had to create space like when my husband's home at night and I can go do something, or on the weekends. And then the judgment and shame that I had to overcome about leaving my kids at home with my husband, which is normal. Well, I go do something because I'm like, oh, I should be with my family because they're home on the weekend. Oh, I should be, you know, doing something with them. And it's been this like this is something I'm working on a lot right now, is like breaking up that martyr energy. And like, it's not my responsibility. Yes, they're my children, but it's also not my responsibility to be their end all be all. Like they need to be their own individual human beings. They need to have their own experiences. Like it's okay if I go on a business trip. It's okay if I go see a friend. It's okay if I do these things because I'm a better person and a better mother when I come back.
Yes. And, you know, you are gifting them the the sight of what they can do. And the truth of it is, as much as we want to believe that what we say like lands with them, which sometimes it does, they're watching us.
Mm-hmm.
They're watching us. And so it's like, my kids are witnessing me successfully in my own business. They've witnessed, you know, we talk about manifestation a lot. You know, when I got divorced, we were in a 1-bedroom apartment that was like 800 square feet. We're now like, we talked about that. And I was like, we're going to get a 2-bedroom place. You know, it's going to be great. We went to a 2-bedroom apartment. And then after that, I was like, we're going to get a 3-bedroom house. And we're going to have a yard. And like, they've watched the manifestations happen and become fabricated into reality. I told them like, mommy's going to start working on stages and whatever. They've seen me on multiple stages now, right? My kids know when they grow up, they're going to have the deep-seated belief and understanding, I can do whatever I want to do. If I believe it, it can happen. I know that no matter what's coming up against me, I can push through it and I'll find a solution. And traveling and like doing things that fuel me are a good thing.
Exactly.
You know, they're going to know that. Not to mention like the reality that we're building and the earth that we're forming requires us to act accordingly as these leaders to show the children and this next generation how to take care of their mental health, how to take care of their bodies, how to take care of their relationships. And like, that means we're going to break the system of like, I'm a mom. I'm not going to care about my body. I'm going to pour into everyone. I'm going to do whatever you guys feel comfortable witnessing me do, because that's what we've been doing for so long. Like, that's out the window. We're done. That's not happening anymore.
Exactly. All of that. And like, I love, you know, one of the other things I'm very passionate about is like fueling your body with good food. Like, I am very, very passionate about that. And I've got a lot of shit. Well, and I'm not saying I'm a perfect mother. My kids have Kraft mac and cheese sometimes. Like, I'm a human being. Sometimes they have cereal, but at the same time, they know the difference. And like, I grew up like with canned food and boxed food. My parents do not take care of their health. They never went to the dentist. They never went to the doctor. You know, now my father has cancer and diabetes. You know, it sucks, but it's like, I've watched and witnessed this, and I refuse to show my kids that. And now they know, like they will. My kid the other day, he's like, Mom, when I grow up, I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to be a contractor. I'm going to build houses for people. And they're going to pay me lots of money. And my daughter's like, I'm going to go, you know, she's whatever she's going to be that day. But I've watched them like realize that they have the power to take care of themselves, that they know that their body is very important. Like my kids, I've never once forced working out on them ever, but they're very athletic children and they love to move their body. So like, Mom, I'm going to go run outside for a little bit. I'm going to go, you know, do some crunches. I'm going to do push-ups and pull-ups and whatever. They know the importance of fueling your body the right way. Yes. And like that for me is a huge gift. And, you know, meditating and spirituality, and it's a mind, body, spirit connection. And if you don't work on that mind, body, spirit connection, what are you going to have? Right. So I'm like, I'm so grateful that I am in this space to show my children the importance of this. And you're right. In this new world, we need this. We need aligned human beings who are connected and grounded and understand the importance of mental health. Like, again, like growing up, therapist was taboo. You didn't have a therapist ever. So I hid the fact that I had a therapist for years. And now I'm like, I scream it from the rooftops. I'm like, it's run. And my children, I've told them, I'm like, if you need to talk to somebody, let me know. Like, it's okay if you don't want to talk to me. We'll find somebody for you to talk to them. And just making this open communication. Yes. It's open, like everything is safe to talk about. If you know, everything. So I'm like loving this and all
the things. We are going to have you back on because we are wrapping up. We are wrapping up here. It's so, you know, it's so incredible though. And I love, like, thank you so much for being here and for being a part of, you know, bringing your medicine into the audience. So y'all, we are there. We could talk for hours. We are going to just start to close up this circle. And Carrie, thank you so much. You know, I'm so grateful to be able to have this platform to share, you know, sisters magic and, you know, all of this conscious conversation around real life things like embodiment and parenthood and entrepreneurship and money and all of it. So I just appreciate you so much. And is there anything else before we close up that you want to just bring out to the space?
I'm so thankful for you. I'm grateful for this chance. And thank you for everybody who's listening. I mean, you're listening for a reason, and I'm so glad you are. But yes, this has been beautiful. I'm so glad that we talked. I'm so glad that we met and all these beautiful topics came through.
I know, it was incredible. Thank you guys again for being a part of the Brittany Renee experience. We will see you next Monday, 10 a.m. Eastern time. And you guys can catch all of Carrie's links below in the podcast description. We will see you next week. Bye, y'all.